So Wednesday Night Dash coming back next week. It was rained out in New Hampshire, IndyCar on Peacock. And Eric's going to do some traveling this weekend. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook.
I'm Eric Richardson.
So let's kick it off with Wednesday Night Dash right away. So, get your Garage Talk merchandise at the frracingonline.com store. It's drinking my, again, second week in a row with the undisclosed liquid in here. It's a beer.
I'm sticking with the water in the Rogue.
Yeah. Before last week, I had never drank a beer out of a coffee mug. 2 weeks in a row.
Now.
So, back in the ARCA car, it was arguably our most exciting series last year.
There were a lot of close finishes.
There were, I think, 4 finishes under a second out of the 8 races last year, I believe.
I believe so.
That was also kind of the point where the league kind of found its identity too. This was our 3rd season racing together. We had a group from day one, like the Mark Vickers, the Justin, Nieves, the 2 of us, and we picked up along the way like Hunter Hughes and Scott McCarris and Tyler Vickery came
Gardner,
along,
Colton,
Tyler. And I'm hoping Caden will be back for the season. I reached out to him today to confirm. He said if you go back to ARCA, call me, and I reached out to him a couple times, and I'm hoping he comes back, but we'll see. But that was like the point where I think the league found itself, kind of like the identity we had kind of ironed out. We introduced the staged caution like 2/3 of the way through the first official season. We had a really good group put together at that point that had been racing together for a while. It was good racing, and it's good to be back in these cars, despite the fact that they're like driving on, a wet road. It feels like sometimes, but
oh yeah,
it's kicking it off. We're just going to go right to Daytona. We're going to get that out of the way right away. And we have to welcome Jesse Fox to the league. Jesse is actually Ian Miller's stepdad, which I just learned about a half hour ago. So Ian, who joined us last season, is back again. Has brought his stepdad with him. So we've got, not just my brother, who's also probably coming back this season. This has become a family affair. I mean, it's awesome. Like, we've got a nice group together.
And it's a good group too. We race well together. We know kind of what each driver is going to do, what the styles are. So we've really learned how to race each other.
Yeah, and there's no like real bickering anymore. We've kind of cleaned that up, and knock on wood. It's just we're out to have fun, and I think we found a really good group that feels the same way. It's just like we're here. This is the end of the day. Let's just come out. Let's have some fun. Do something we all like, and
it's fun. I think 99% of the time, it's if you see somebody bump each other, the first thing on the radio is sorry,
man. Yeah. I mean, it's
that's my fault.
It's
not like some of the races
it happens
in iRacing where it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you idiot. And no,
we don't have that.
Hey, a side note, I hear you had a little race wrecker on you the other night.
Oh yeah. Jumped in a Carb Cup is Michigan, so a little tune up for our charity race. We get through lap 1, car spins as normal out of turn 2. We come around, and I think I was running 3rd or 4th at the time, and we see a car driving right towards us.
Yeah, that
takes out almost the entire field, and I almost got through, but I got clipped.
And you told me who it was, and I looked up there. We're not gonna do anything like that. I don't want to give any names or unnecessary attention, but I looked up the driver who did this. And it's like they've been on iRacing since like late May. They still are rookies all around. They're in, they've run about a dozen official races or so. And it's just like, why would you spend the money you do to get on to iRacing only to go and do something so blatantly against the sporting code that, I mean, that might get you permanently banned from the surface. Probably not. If
Yeah, I
this
went
was
back
his
and
first
watched,
time.
and he actually just sat there
I
on the
mean, that
inside.
that was as blatant of a I'm ruining this session for everyone as you can get. And that happened to me a while back in a carb cup at Talladega. And you go, here comes the draft pack coming around turn 2 onto the backstretch. And this guy who had he spun himself. Like it was nobody's fault but his own. He was sitting there and he just basically pulled right up onto the track in front of everybody. And, the pack had to scatter and he took out about, I don't know, about 10 cars in the process. It's like,
Yeah, and you see it too. There's no retaliations. The driver lost it on their own.
and it's like,
So I don't get it.
why do you feel the need to do something like that? One, two, do you think this person knew that they were going to get a timeout? More than likely get a timeout from the iRacing stewards
so.
for over this. But yet they don't care. And it's just like, why? Why would you spend your money to go get yourself intentionally thrown off of a service like that? I mean, unless they were planning on canceling their subscription and that was their last kind of like, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna go ruin it for everybody, get myself kicked off. Who knows?
Yeah, the same car actually wrecked more cars later in the race too.
That's just what I can't say.
I don't get it.
The two things that drive me up the wall about any online, it doesn't matter what the game is, any online gaming, is the people that get upset and start screaming and cussing people out. It's like, it's a game. Like, get a life, dude. One. Two, the people that go in and intentionally try to ruin it for others. It's like, why? Like, what is wrong with you that you feel the need that you just have to come in and just ruin everybody's session? It's the end of our day. We're just trying to chill, have a good time, just blow off some steam. And then you just have to be just a total jerk. Like, why?
Yeah, I really don't get it.
It's just, that's why, like, you look at my iRacing profile, I've run maybe, I don't know, 8 official races in my 2 years on the service. But I've run probably, what do you think we've done now? 70, 80 league races?
Yeah, it's a pretty good number.
Yeah. Like you're like, oh, you've run 7 races in 2 years. No, I've run about 80 league races, 70, 80 league races in 2 years. And you know what? The league races, in my opinion, are a lot more fun. And
oh yeah, it's a fun group.
Yeah, you find a fun group to race with on a league race, way better than the open session. It's not even close. Anyway, rant over. Come check out Wednesday Night Dash on Stadium Scene TV. Hunter Hughes will be our play-by-play announcer this season. Hunter is stepping out of the car and into the booth, and we it was pretty obvious the end of last season. Eli is just he moved, he took a new job, he just got too much on his plate right now, and he had to step down. It happens. And I went to Hunter and I said, hey, I know you've shown a lot of interest in doing play-by-play. I don't want to lose a car in the league. However, I'm giving you the right of first refusal. Like, if you want the gig, it's yours. And he's kind of like, well, I don't know if I want to get out of the car. Then he's like, let me sleep on it. And the next day he's like, all right, I'm in. So
See how it is.
Yeah, so we're excited for Hunter, a guy we know very well. We've raced with a lot, done endurance racing with, or you've done endurance racing with.
It'll be great. He knows a lot of the drivers. He's been around for a while, so we'll have some insights with this too.
Knows a lot about the sport in general. I'm very excited to to see him get into the booth and show off that knowledge and develop his skill set as an announcer. So I'm very, very excited for that. So Hunter, welcome to the other side of Wednesday Night Dash.
That'll be good.
Did you see did you catch any of the NASCAR race on Monday?
I actually did not. I did not see a single lap of it.
I fortunately, because I work from home, I was able to put the the TVs right up here. If you've tuned into Garage Talk Live Race Day, I'll do that thing, and put during the workday, put the race on. It was all right. New Hampshire's not my favorite track on the schedule, but it was a decent race. Martin Truex Jr. Good for him. That's kind of his home track. It was kind of his first
Finally got the
track.
W.
Yep. So he's having a really, really good year, especially after last year where it was, couldn't win a race. Is he going to retire? And now he looks pretty rejuvenated out there.
Yeah, he's up. He's actually what, first in points now?
Second. Byron is still technically first.
Oh, still.
Yeah, he's got one more
Saw
win.
something he was like first.
Billy Byron's got the first. The guy who got his start in sim racing and worked into the cup car. Yeah,
You've heard me rant already. I hate this win and you're in playoff deal.
I know you've made that very clear over the last year of doing this, and plus our past discussions about the topic. Fun fact: I went and I finally renewed my season ticket or my spring tickets for the Phoenix race. I haven't bought fall tickets yet, and my kids
spring's a little more affordable than fall.
It's a little bit more affordable than fall. It's not, if you go to the Xfinity race, it's not that bad.
Just that cup race.
Yeah, that cup race, man. I think you're buying tickets to the Super Bowl if for that. But I actually have well, by the time this airs, you'll have seen this. So the Phoenix Raceway president, she posted a recap of her last couple of months, and her at the Chicago street race, and she went to the Indy 500 and had clips of the Indy cars. And I'm by the time this airs, I am going to comment on her Instagram post. They said, "Oh, so this is confirmation that IndyCar is coming back to Phoenix. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there front row. Well, okay, not front row, but I'll be in the stands."
It'd be great to see them back out there.
I think it would work this time. I think enough about this car. They've learned enough about this car, a lot of it thanks to Jimmy Johnson, that this can be a good oval racing car. And for the longest, in the early years back, it was just a lot of follow the leader pit passing. It looked like IndyCar on ovals looked like Formula One. It was just pit strategy, don't wreck.
Speaking of that, I'm very interested to see what happens this weekend in the Indy cars.
I'm kind of thinking we're probably on the same wave. Like, is there a specific driver in mind that I meant that you're thinking of when I said don't wreck?
No, I want to see if they run.
Oh, if they do the
two lines
at Iowa
after Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, hey, Jimmy proved it. Jimmy might be a little bit nuts to take an Indy car and drive that, like he's still in a cup car, but
they did it at Texas.
They did it at Texas,
that second line, and it was a great race. And he proved you can run the outside and hold and make passes.
It was a great race. The Texas race was great. I mean, for so many years, that Texas race was such a snooze fest, or we were concerned about drivers, ending up with like medical issues because you're putting like 6 Gs on you in the turns, like driving just ridiculous speeds in that car.
Yeah.
That race was good, and I'm thinking we're going to see a good race this weekend. I've got a good feeling about it.
I hope so.
I hope this gets Indy back to Phoenix. I mean, this is a personal bias, don't get me wrong, but I want to see Indy back at Phoenix. And this time they need to actually go and put some effort into promoting the event. So you can't use the excuse nobody showed up. Well, nobody knew the event was going on.
iRacing has their open wheel, saying this properly, their open wheel
US Open Wheel Class C.
It's at Phoenix this week. And I think honestly, it's one of my favorite tracks to run on.
And the cars are I remember you ran your couple races there actually, and had some good luck. Last week you streamed a bit there, and it was okay. You had I saw you had a bit of an oops moment early on in that race with another car. You touched wheels.
The Phoenix race,
the Phoenix race, yeah.
I think it's pretty close. We maybe had a light brush. It was a 0x anyway.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
But there's no repair time or anything. But there's a lot of lines you can drive. You can get very creative on the track, and you get set up well. You
Take
can
the
fly.
dog leg. Take the dog leg. I don't think that would go very
I think
well.
I saw one car take the dog leg, and
Probably
I think they made it, but it was on like the first lap.
Yeah, it was on the first lap, brand new tires, probably turned sideways, coming back onto the track again. Did you know in turn so I guess that would be 1 and 2 on the opposite the hill side of the track. You know that yellow line is actually not like you could pass below the yellow there. It's like, what's the point of a line then if it doesn't, if you could just go right below it and pass
Phoenix
below
is
the
like,
yellow.
just don't hit walls and you're okay.
It's the Wild West. I mean,
It really is.
It's just there's just stay on the track, go on the dog leg, shortcut across the track. I mean, it's like there's no rules there. Just go. Find your way across the as close as you can.
That race I ran, I think there were only 2 splits of it. And I was 16 out of 21 cars, and I was already a 1500 I rating. And I was in the second split.
Yeah, you had a pretty good field. Well, excuse me, out there with you that.
Yeah, I looked at him like, man, there are some good drivers in here. And then I see the results later and say, oh, I was in split 2.
Yeah, you were like, it's never good when you're the bottom of a split.
Well, and to only have 2 splits and still be at the bottom.
Yeah, that is true. I thought there wasn't a third.
I'd have to go back and look.
I thought I saw a third when I looked. Look it up now.
Maybe there was.
So, Peacock this weekend ran the IndyCar race, Toronto, lap 1, because, IndyCar can't have a road race without a lap 1 incident, it seems like.
No, 2 splits.
No, it was only 2. How about that?
Yeah, wild race.
Christian Lundgaard wins. I mean, good for Ray Hall. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan.
They needed a good result there.
As awful of a month of May as that team had, they have really, with the exception of Jack Harvey, they have really turned it around. Graham had a good qualifying run at Mid-Ohio. It was I don't know if it was a strategy mistake during the race, but he still walked away top 10. Lundgaard wins. It's good too because Lundgaard is carrying the Hy-Vee sponsorship, and Hy-Vee is bought heavily into IndyCar. Probably one of their biggest sponsors. That's the Iowa race is their home race.
NTT.
Yeah, it's the NTT IndyCar series, but Hy-Vee has put a lot of money into IndyCar. They are like the reason the Iowa race is the big festival it is because of Hy-Vee. I've heard I've heard stories that Iowa is actually kind of a Hy-Vee corporate getaway. That it's just like a lot of the tickets are actually not a lot of the tickets, but there's a pretty decent sum of like Hy-Vee employees coming over from Des Moines and filling the seats there. I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's 2023. The truth doesn't matter anymore when you're in a recording anything anymore.
Hey, I don't care. I got tickets. I'll be there.
It sounds like it makes sense, but yeah, Hy-Vee is a big sponsor. You've got the whole festival atmosphere. You got the concerts and 2 days of racing. Yeah, IndyCar
Saturday morning actually is qualifying.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, but
does IndyCar need to embrace the festival atmosphere for all of their races?
They might, because that's the draw at Indianapolis, the history, tradition. There's so much going on.
The Snake Pit draws so much alone. Iowa was a big draw last year, probably be a big draw again this year. You have Long Beach, which is, it's not a festival, but there's just so much going on that weekend with IMSA and Detroit filled it with it was the GM Grand Prix essentially for that event. But do they really, should they embrace the concert? You pair up with decent musical acts and have a big concert with a fairly big name, pair it up with a ticket. Do you think that would get people in the seats? I mean, maybe not for something like Laguna Seca, but
I think it could actually help most of the races, including Laguna. You get stuff going on. Maybe it's a post-race deal, or that way people can get around that road course and get to where they need to go. But I almost think just as much you do that at the handful of races, but get another 5 races on the schedule.
Do you think
Figure
they're
out
gonna
how to run 2 lines on an oval.
Do you think they're going to change the schedule up at all for next year?
Probably not.
It just seems like there's this hype, like, oh, we're going to add a race, we're going to add a race, we're going to add a race, and then nothing.
I think it stays the same again.
Probably. I mean, Roger already made it pretty clear that Milwaukee, they want to go back to Milwaukee, but it's not ready yet. They're ahead of where they need, or he expected them to be, but they're not. The facility is not ready to run IndyCar. Just okay, fair. I mean, we don't want people getting hurt or killed in the process. Like, we need to make sure the track is built correctly, it's safe, the facilities are there. And it sounds like it's not quite there yet. Okay, so we'll wait another year for Milwaukee.
My bigger question is going to be, what do these new engines next year do? Texas, Indianapolis. Are we going to see good racing, or are we going to see some gnarly stuff if there's a spin? They're adding a whole lot more horsepower.
Yeah.
Cars are going to be going a whole lot faster.
Yeah, and
how much faster can you go on these tracks?
You can't. Like, you already had somebody push 246 at one point on Indy.
Yeah, it was a lot of cars were actually topping that 243 and hitting into that going into turn 3.
When that happened in the 90s, when they were pushing the 240 mark, the drivers were getting scared. Like, this defies the laws of physics, and it's just like, this should not. It's like Patton Oswalt has a bit where he talks about airplanes. Like, this should not work. We should not be able to take a giant piece of metal and launch it into the sky and it float up there. It shouldn't work, but it does. And it's kind of the same thing with IndyCar, where you got these cars, you got human beings behind the wheel making millisecond decisions that you make the wrong decision, you could kill a bunch of people, either on the track or in the stands. And it's just like,
well, they just finished the investigation into Kirkwood's car. I think it was like a mount or something that ended up failing that caused the tire to go. And look at what happened a couple weeks ago to Simon Pagenaud at brake failure in Mid-Ohio.
He's still not back. I mean, Connor Daly's going to be in his car again. I don't.
Back in.
I'm not sure Pagenaud's going to be back in an Indy car, at least not full time. If he's not back now, I mean, he had to have been shook up pretty bad.
Well, and even Stephen Wilson, his practice crash at Indianapolis, if they're going 10 miles an hour faster, is he walking right now?
Yeah. I mean, do we have another Robert Wickens on our hand?
I remember Indianapolis, they slowed the cars down. I think it was right around when Scott Brayton crashed.
Yeah.
Qualifying.
Yes. Yeah.
They started we need to slow these cars down.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw a drop in speed for so many years.
And oh God, and then those garbage cars in the late 90s that they had. What's funny is I was reading about this of these IndyCar collectors, and you have these cars from the 60s, 70s, 80s that they can generally keep them running. But those cars from the first years of the Indy Racing League from 97 to 01, 02-ish, nobody can get them anymore because they just like stopped making the parts because they were such junk. And and the other thing too that really bummed me about the 97 and 98 races is if you go back and watch it and you hear that sound of the car, whizzing by you, it just sounds so watered down, I guess the best way to put it. You hear those cars in the early mid 90s and it just had that very sharp when you listen to these 97 cars, and it sounds like they're just kind of puttering by and just they might blow up.
Yeah, if you were at the track, you could definitely hear when a engine was going sour.
I mean,
they just sounded awful.
Those cars were awful. Those Oldsmobile. It was a Oldsmobile was one of the engines they had, and then Infinity was the other one. It was old. Yeah, in the late 90s, they went Oldsmobile and Infinity. They had a Dallara chassis and a G-Force chassis, which I don't think G-Force is even a thing anymore.
G-Force is the chassis I was trying to think of a while back.
Yep. Yeah, they had
place it.
They had the G-Force chassis, and the G-Force chassis won for those first couple of years. I mean, Dallara, it took them a few years to win an Indy 500 after they went in. And now, they win every year because they're the only option.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of innovation in IndyCar like they have in Formula One. Maybe not to the extent, but something.
It cracks me up because I've seen this from Goodyear, and Dallara did the same thing a while back, and they're like patting themselves on the back. And, Goodyear's like, oh, this was our, blah, blah, blah number win in NASCAR. It's like, well, yeah, you're the only tire maker in NASCAR. It's like, I'm no competitor. Oh man, I'm doing great playing basketball on this court all by myself. Who cares if I miss 98 shots? No one else is out here, so I win.
Oh, speaking of Goodyear, I saw somewhere they were maybe doing some tire testing on the Indianapolis Oval.
They are. Yeah. There is a test coming up very soon. Potentially go back onto the Oval, which I think that needs
to happen.
I wouldn't mind that. Do you also notice NASCAR on their or IndyCar or Indy Motor Speedway on their Instagram have been posting like the best moments from the track in NASCAR, kind of hyping the race all over moments.
Here's one thing I could see IndyCar doing and doing it right. Take the May Indy race because it's on the road course and move it.
Yeah.
Get into another track. Because I like that double weekend, but put Indy on the road course. It'd be a pain and you probably can't set it up. But then you have NASCAR on the oval.
The logistics of like moving everything around
you have so many moving parts that you couldn't do it. But if you could figure out a way to make that work.
Is it me, or does it seem like this year at Indy there were fewer events in the month of May?
It seems like every year they keep changing it and getting rid of stuff.
I can't tell anymore just because the formats have changed over the years. It's like you've got the race, you've got carb day, you've got bump day, you've got qualification. Now you got the road course race in there. It's just like it feels like when we were kids, they just did a lot of practice, a lot more practice and testing sessions back then. A lot more
practices. I wish it would go back to the 2-weekend qualifying. First day is pole day. And I think it was just the pole or the front row? No, front row.
Front row.
Was set in stone. Then you have cars 4 through whatever fill the field up to 32. Then you have that next Saturday as bump day.
I mean, I don't know.
Bump day was exciting to watch.
I mean, this year was really exciting. I mean, it was gut-wrenching if your name is Graham Rahal, but holy crap, was that drama that afternoon. I was exhausted watching that on TV. You have 4 drivers competing for 3 spots. 3 of the drivers were on the same team. It was just so much drama.
We had that every year.
Yeah, it's just there was so much drama on Pump Day this year. just for
It was nice.
one person to get bumped out, who ultimately ran the race anyway. But it's
Yeah, I
just,
wish it could get back up to where you have 36 to 40 cars.
I mean, there's only happened a handful of times. There was 97 when I went the rainout year. They ran 35, I think. And
Well, at least that number of cars for qualifying.
yeah.
It feels always 33.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, there's been a handful of years where they've started more than 33, but it's just a lot of good stuff. But like we said earlier, as we get ready to wrap here, you're going to Iowa this weekend. You're going to be at the
I'll be at the
Saturday
Saturday
race. So if you're out there, look for them. Say
I'll
hi.
probably have FR Racing shirt or something.
Take a picture with him. Make him
look
feel
for
like
the cat.
yeah. Take a picture with him. Make him feel like a celebrity. That's the thing I want to do. Is I want somebody to like come up to me at a track and be like, "Hey, I've seen you on the
Hey,
internet before. Yeah, you're an idiot." I'm like, sorry,
yes.
I mean, yeah, but you felt the need to come up and say, "Hey, I recognize you from the internet." I mean, that would make my day. I just somebody randomly coming up to me and like, "Hey, I know who you are." Like, you know what? I feel pretty good. If that when that day finally happens and somebody at a track comes up to me like, "I know who you are."
You're one of those guys.
And I'll probably like in my typical like, I don't like being approached. I've thought about this. Like, I understand why, they come, you hear these stories about famous people being approached on the street and they act like super weird around people. And they're like, "Oh, that guy's a jerk," because like I came walking up to him on the street and he just kind of like turned his head and walked away. It's like, you know what? If I was famous, I'd probably do the same.
Now,
Like, I don't want you approaching me on the street. I don't know what you're gonna do. If you're gonna kick my ass or rob me or something. I don't.
be kind of like poking fun at it, but then almost like a prank on everybody else around. If we're both at like the same race at some point, have it like pre-planned. One of us like sees the other at a predetermined like, "Oh my god, it's you!"
Wait, I didn't know you were
And
gonna
then
be
everybody
here.
else around is like,
Ooh.
"Why is this guy asking? He must be somebody. Like he's being asked for his autograph and taking pictures. Like who is
You
this?"
stage this whole thing where I'm like, "Hey, I'll pay you $1 to go up and ask that guy for a picture and an autograph." Do
Next
it.
time I
Like
go to
just go up to a bunch of random kids. "Hey, I'll pay you $1 to go ask that guy for an autograph and a picture," and just do that with like a bunch of different people. And they have no idea who they're taking a picture with and asking for an autograph, but people are just like, "Who is that guy? Like, why is everybody going up and asking that guy for an autograph?" And people are gonna be searching their phones and trying to figure out who you are, and they have no clue.
now, maybe you can figure out where I'm going with this. Next time I go to Vegas, I want to carry a Sharpie with me when I'm walking on the strip. If you've never been, there's people that hand you cards. There's
Yeah.
various things. So I want to take one of the cards.
Card
Then
slappers.
Sharpie's ready. Just sign it
Thanks.
and hand it back. Like, "Hey, thank you. Take care." I just want
Yeah,
to see
sure.
the look. And maybe I'll have my friend or maybe my wife, if she's willing to do it, film a couple of these just for the reaction. Like, "Oh, here it comes. Get camera ready."
Yeah, you got the card slappers, I think is what people call it. They got their
Yes.
cards and they're like, "Girls to your door, $20."
So in no way do I want to do that. I just want to mess with them. Like
Just
it's
give them to
like
your wife. Just give them the cards to your wife. Just like, "Here you go. Girls to your door, $20."
it's kind of like if I get a scam caller like solicitor. Um, I may have too much fun on those.
I love the people that just like waste time with the scammers and like, "I know what you're doing, but I'm gonna play dumb and act like I don't," and then just be like, "You know what, dude? I know exactly what you're doing. I just wasted your time because now that means that's one less person you're gonna be able to call today, or two less people you're gonna call today."
Oh yeah, I've been hung up on several times. I enjoy it.
I also I've answered the phone a couple of times and Like I'll Google, like the number will come in. I'll Google it. I'll see it's a scammer caller, and I'll pick up the phone.
Yeah, my phone tells me scam alert.
Yeah, scam alert, and I'll pick up the phone. Like, thanks for calling the FBI. How may I help you? Click.
Yeah, one I could tell it was right away, and I'm like, oh, thank you for calling the law firm of this, and
Yes.
this.
You are behind on your taxes. You must give me a Target gift card, or you're going to jail. Nah, dude, that's not how.
Now
Anyway.
play it on.
Anyway.
Off rails there. F1 coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo's big return in the slowest car in the field.
The AlphaTauri vacated by DeVries.
So one, we had a Nicholas Latifi sighting on social media this week. He won't be racing anytime soon. He basically said he's preparing for life after racing. He might come back someday, but he's not. And Nick DeVries posted on social media earlier this week that because anyone who's put a quote in here of things I've said or I plan on doing, because they're lying. I haven't spoken to anybody since then. I'm just taking the rest of the summer off. Hope you have a good summer. I'll see you soon. That was his message, and it's like fair. It sucks how it ended for him. I wouldn't say he got a fair shot, but it's it's win now or go away, or at least be somewhat competitive now. In the case of VMAX for Verstappen Invitational Series.
As much as I like the innovation of Formula One among the individual teams, at the same time, it'd be fun to see how would like DeVries have paired up with everybody else if it was like the next gens, where they're so comparable across the board that anybody can run well. Would he have still struggled, or would he have been able to be competitive?
Think he ends up in IndyCar?
Maybe. I was thinking maybe next week or the week after we could look into all the free agents coming up.
Yeah, I think we need
a lot of driver changes.
I think we're going to see a lot of changes this off season, and
I think Formula One's going to see a shakeup. IndyCar, I think, is going to be very different, and we're going to see some interesting stuff in NASCAR.
Still think David Malukas is going to be the big winner of the off season. I think he ends up in a Ganassi.
I think he gets Ganassi.
I think he gets a Ganassi ride, and if that happens, oh boy, but watch out. He's the he bought his ride, so to speak, as some people have said, but I mean he belongs out there. He's in an underpowered, underfunded car, and he still looks really good most weekends.
I just had this thought. I could actually see him going to Andretti too. I think Andretti cleans house.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Herta.
And even that, like I mean, he podiumed in Toronto, but he's the guy who is trying to get a Formula One ride and get his exception to his super license, and he's just not been that good. I mean, he's had good moments, but not enough for the guy who's allegedly the highest paid driver in the series. I mean, he just still makes too many mistakes that he shouldn't.
Especially at this moment when you're being compared to Alex Palou.
And then on top of that, then you have Grosjean, who the wheel slipped out of his hand when he wrecked. You hear that? He said the wheel slipped out of his hand. It's like, ooh. You think he has the yips still?
Maybe.
Or is it just he's just too overly aggressive with that car? And it always seems like late race after he's been on a long run.
I think he's overly aggressive. I think he's still trying to drive it like a Formula One car to get more out of it. But he's just overdriving the car, and it causes problems. Oof. So if it's similar to iRacing, you got to let the car come to you a little bit. If you push it over the limit, it takes you.
And I don't think Connor Daly is going to be running this weekend, but Ryan Hunter-Reay hasn't been anything spectacular so far in his
Daly will be in for the Pagano car.
Yes, yeah, but as Ryan Hunter-Reay hasn't been very good, and
no, it's the car.
Yeah, it's definitely the car, and it's just I'm sure there was more to it beside the car. I mean, Connor's
it was a
quite a
Split.
personality. Well, I mean, he's quite a personality, and I'm yeah, I think most people like him, but there are people that can't stand him and probably pushed his boss a little one too many times, probably.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it that isn't out there.
I'm sure it'll leak out soon. Maybe out of Connor's own mouth.
Yeah, maybe one of these episodes coming up, check us out for a silly season update. Maybe our thoughts on what to look for.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to get Connor on the show.
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to get him on there.
Be a good time.
On that note, frracingonline.com, at frracingonline on all social media and streaming platforms. Sign up for Wednesday Night Dash. Be back next week. Behind closed doors, August 9th, 11th, something like that.
Yeah, I think we're the week after.
Yeah, the week after I think it's the 2nd. So are you the 2nd, or are you the following two, or the 1st, or the I guess it'd be the 8th, wouldn't it?
Making myself look bad that I don't know the date right off.
Whatever. It's posted on the social media. Go look. Or go to frracingonline.com/BCD. The schedule's there.
August 8th.
There you go. 8th.
Kicking off at Kentucky.
Yes, Kentucky. I didn't know that.
And then we venture on to Iowa.
On the AFSP 200. We need a registration push here. We got to get moving on that. So September 17th, Sunday. Come out there, next gen, raise money for a charity that is working to stop suicide. I mean, what better way to donate your $20 entry fee? So we're got a lot on our plate coming up here. So
it's gonna be busy.
It is, but we're working on all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, trying to grow this. Again, thank you everybody to the people who listen. We're getting well over 100 people a week listening to this show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Why? I don't know, but thank you. Please keep listening.
Maybe borderline idiots. I don't know.
No, I'm definitely an idiot. There's no borderline about it.
You can call me an idiot. I'm gonna agree with you.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings. I don't care.
I'll just laugh.
My wife calls me an idiot probably 3 times a day for things I say and do and or don't do. So you know what? It doesn't hurt my feelings. That doesn't hurt my feelings. You're calling me an idiot isn't hurting my feelings either. So
oh no.
Just try to be nicer, people. Why can't we just all get along? We're all struggling out there one way or another. Let's do some Tai Chi or something. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Take care.